As we continue this morning, I want to shift gears here. Now, there is a lot of talk going on this past week about what happened in Virginia and how that could shape what happens in next year's presidential race. Why is the Commonwealth so important nationally? For more on this, we want to welcome in Nancy Cook. She is Bloomberg's senior national political correspondent and somebody a lot of people know in this town, because this is something we hear a lot about, you know, especially in the gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia, because they happen the year after a presidential election. How much do we make of this, and do we overemphasize this because Virginia is so close to D.C.?
Well, I think that Democrats in particular are taking away a victory lap from what they saw in Virginia. You know, Governor Youngkin did not get the Republican majority that he wanted. We saw voters still very upset about abortion. And so I think Democrats, and particularly the Biden White House, are taking this as a sign that although the president has a very low approval rating, you know, he has problems with, you know, a bunch of key voting blocks, they're taking it as a sign that things might not be as grim as polling would suggest.
Speaking of polling, Bloomberg had a pretty interesting one out this week. We want to get to it right now because this looked, you know, not nationwide, but it looked at the Trump lead in 6 of the 7 swing states. This is pretty critical. You're looking at Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. What does this tell Democrats about the work that they have to do, not against, you know, a hypothetical, that this is Joe Biden versus Donald Trump?
So this is the second month that we've done this poll, and the poll is really grim for Biden and great for Trump. And so this version of the poll shows that, as you said, in 6 out of the 7 swing states, Trump beats Biden. And what was interesting was this time we polled on foreign policy, because so much of the news now is about the war, you know, the Israel-Hamas war, what is happening in the Middle East. And on foreign policy, including U.S. relations with China, Trump really leads with swing state voters in their confidence in his ability to handle the issues. Last month we polled on the economy. Trump also polls well in his handling of the economy. So I think that this should really give Democrats, despite the results in the Virginia election, a lot of pause.
And this was interesting too. You had another poll on the what swing state voters put as far as security considerations. Border security, U.S.-Mexico border security came out tops on that, and by a lot too, as well too. What does that say about what the Biden administration might have on its plate as far as not making that connection with swing state voters on this issue?
Well, I think what the polls show is that U.S. voters in these states are very concerned about domestic issues. Immigration, the economy, crime, that is what is really driving them. Meanwhile, the Biden White House is facing, you know, foreign policy crisis after foreign policy crisis, rise of China, you know, Iran, Israel, Hamas. And so they're really having to fight sort of a two-pronged battle, both domestically but also with people abroad.
Yeah, not to mention Ukraine. The economy still resonate with folks?
Oh, hugely. The economy is still the main issue that these swing state voters are talking about. And when we did the poll last month, what was interesting was that Trump really had voters' trust on every single measure of the economy. His handling of the stock market, affordable housing, you know, you name it, interest rates. He really has the confidence of voters. And that's something that the Biden White House has to deal with. Bidenomics is not resonating.
Nancy Cook, the senior national political correspondent for Bloomberg. Such a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much.